Well, I do want to turn to a key city that's making moves. The city of Fort Worth, Texas has grown to become the 11th most populous city in the country per data. And I spoke with its mayor, Maddie Parker, about her ties with several NYSE listed companies and how Fort Worth has become a pipeline for talent. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, congratulations on the move here in Texas. It makes a lot of good business sense for NYSE. It's my understanding it's the number one state for New York Stock Exchange, based on the 232 companies that are across the state of Texas. Fort Worth is no different. We're really proud of our connection to New York Stock Exchange and want to continue to do more work with your expansion here in Texas. And specifically, you've got Embraer, JP Morgan, and to name two very large companies, of course. Dick's Sporting Goods, who's made a large investment here in Fort Worth just in the last 2 years, which is incredibly significant for all of us. And then along the lines of financial services like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley has made a significant investment as well here in our city. Americold, maybe a less known cold storage company that is expanding rapidly here in the city of Fort Worth. And last would be Molson Coors, continues to be a bedrock economy here in the city of Fort Worth.
And great to hear that presence as well. Obviously, a lot of activity, Maddie, going on in there in Fort Worth. And so I want to hear about what about the Fort Worth area is attracting companies to the city?
Well, companies are people also, and they have to attract great workforce and employees that want to live in the cities that they've decided to headquarter or expand in. So for me, as the mayor of one of the fastest growing cities in the country, now the 11th largest, just passing the city of Austin in population, 1 million people, what does it look like to be a thriving metro, but at the same time taking care of our residents? And really the theme is simple, Kristen. It is quality of life in everything we do here in the city of Fort Worth. We're a safe city. We're smart on infrastructure and growth, low taxes, focus on affordable housing build out. We're a large city that's also sprawled geographically, 350 square miles and only half developed. There's a multitude of different choices for community members, but at the end of the day, people want to live here and they're voting with their feet for those reasons. I also think that we're a really business friendly city. When you're starting to look at Fort Worth, no matter if you're advanced manufacturing and defense or financial services, you want to approach a city and say, what kind of people are they? Do they want to do business with us? Are they excited about our expansion and what kind of investment we're going to make? And I know that we're top notch thanks to the team, both within the city of Fort Worth and the Fort Worth Economic Development Partnership.
What unique factors do you think makes Fort Worth a strong pipeline for employers?
Well, number one, we're a part of the state of Texas. Now it's the eighth largest economy in the entire world, continue to compete with major economies across the globe. Obviously, also part of North Texas, soon to be the third largest metro region in the country, passing the metro of Chicago. We're also anchored by really important transportation hubs, notably here in Fort Worth, of course, Alliance or Perot Airfield, and of course, Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, now the third busiest airport in the entire world. We're also really rich in talent and workforce. From downtown Fort Worth, within 40 minutes, you've got access to 2.5 million workers in all of the industry sectors that your viewers are really concerned about. And lastly, we're really kind here in Texas. We want you to be successful. We kind of have that grit and tenacity that it takes to build a great company. And people like to call themselves Texans almost immediately upon joining us here in our state.
Yes, I have heard that. Very proud Texans indeed. And Maddie, in 2023, you launched Good Natured, Fort Worth Green Space Initiative. Of course, the city of Fort Worth, you as the mayor. What more can you tell me about that?
Well, again, it's about quality of life for our residents. And because we're 350 square miles, only half developed, we really had to pause and say, because of that quick development, losing about 50 acres per week to construction and development across our city, we are pro-growth and pro-development and very proud of that. But at the same time, really preserving our open space, green space, and parkland to have a very high quality of life, which fortunately is also incredibly great in return on investment and great for economic development purposes. We have an ambitious goal to preserve at least 10,000 acres in the first 5 years. And since starting, we're well on our way. And at the end of the day, we want to have one of the best parks and open space networks in the entire country. And really that bodes well for our future, because as we bring more residents here, we also have to have sustainable environmental practices, just a great place to live, raise your families, grow your businesses. And in my opinion, it really does start with those basic amenities that people want to be a part of. And we're starting with open space and green space.
And you recently started your third term as Fort Worth mayor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, what else are you hoping to accomplish during this term?
You know, we're just focused on the basics, Kristen. I often joke that being the mayor of a city and being successful at that job Sometimes it's not the sexy stuff. You're really focused on police officers and firefighters, making sure they have every single resource that they need, building roads and bridges across the community of Fort Worth. When you call 911, you have immediate response. We just built out our emergency services department within the fire department, which is a little bit in the weeds, but an important move. And then that other pillar is really, how does the city of Fort Worth have all of these services that you expect and really should demand from local government, being a clean and safe city. People really remark on that when you get to visit us here in Fort Worth. Kristen, I think you'll notice what a beautiful, clean city we are. And then how that all dovetails into being a city and a state that is incredibly friendly to business. And for all those reasons, I'm incredibly proud of our trajectory. So we just kind of keep trugging. We know we're in the right direction. It takes a certain level of stable leadership and working across coalitions. I don't have to tell you this. It's an incredibly partisan time in our country. Everybody seems to find things that divide us. But oftentimes being mayor is really the best job. It's about building consensus and focus on what matters. And that certainly is our intent here in the city of Fort Worth.
Thanks again to Fort Worth's mayor for that interview. Well, that's going to wrap up today's show, everyone.